What if everything you've been taught about wealth and abundance is actually keeping you poor? Have you ever noticed that the harder you chase success, the more it seems to slip through your fingers? This paradox has baffled millions, yet the answer lies in a principle so counterintuitive that most people dismiss it without ever giving it a proper chance. Has this ever happened to you? You focus intently on a goal. Maybe it's financial freedom, winning that lottery ticket, or manifesting your dream home, only to find yourself exhausted, frustrated, and seemingly further from your desire than when you started. There's a profound reason for this phenomenon, one that Joseph Murphy understood better than most. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell, so you don't miss any of our future videos. The world has programmed you since childhood with a dangerous falsehood that you must work hard, struggle, and earn every dollar through sweat and sacrifice. That wealth requires pain. That abundance must be deserved. But I'm here to tell you that this very belief system, this paradigm of striving, is precisely what's blocking your manifestations. When you chase after something, you're unconsciously broadcasting to the universe that you don't already possess it. You're declaring your lack, and the universe simply mirrors that declaration back to you. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover might completely transform your relationship with wealth. The truth is, there's an inner voice whispering constantly in your subconscious mind, a voice telling you that you're unworthy of sudden, effortless abundance. This voice has become your God, dictating what you allow yourself to receive. It keeps you locked in a prison of limitation while dangling the keys just outside your reach. This insidious lie of unworthiness wasn't planted there by accident. Our entire economic system depends on your belief that you must exchange time for money, that wealth requires decades of labor, that abundance is scarce and must be competed for. But what if the opposite were true? What if abundance is your natural state and all your striving has been pushing it away? The secret Joseph Murphy discovered, the same secret that the world's wealthiest individuals understand intuitively, is that manifestation works in reverse from how we've been taught. It's not about doing more or trying harder. It's about a fundamental shift in your state of being. And that shift begins not with your actions, but with something far more powerful. That shift begins with recognizing a profound truth about reality itself. What appears to be chance, luck, or coincidence is actually a precise reflection of your inner state. Take the lottery, for instance. Most see it as a game of random numbers and astronomical odds, but this perspective misses the deeper revelation. The lottery is not a game at all. It's a mirror. If these principles have sparked something within you, hit the subscribe button now. Join thousands of conscious creators who are transforming their reality using these exact methods. This is more than content. It's an invitation to a new way of being. Every ticket purchased, every number checked, every moment of anticipation. These are all reflecting back to you what you truly believe about yourself and abundance. Are you playing as someone desperately hoping for rescue from financial problems? Or are you engaging as someone who already embodies the frequency of wealth? The numbers themselves have no power. They're merely symbols, echoes of the state you've assumed before you ever purchased that ticket. This mindset transformation isn't about positive thinking or wishful visualization. It's about a fundamental identity shift. Behind the scenes of your conscious awareness, a much more powerful force is at work, your assumed state of being. This is the hidden truth that most manifestation teachers miss entirely. Joseph Murphy understood this principle with crystal clarity. The formula he discovered wasn't some closely guarded secret he tried to hide from the world. In fact, Quite the opposite. He shared it openly, repeatedly, in his teachings and writings. But here's where the journey takes an unexpected turn. People misunderstood what he was offering. They were looking for external rituals, specific affirmations to recite, or magical actions to perform. They wanted techniques and formulas they could apply without having to change who they were at their core. What Murphy was actually revealing was much more profound, the necessity for inner transformation. The outer man kept looking for steps, for systems, for validation from sources outside himself. He waited for signs from the universe or favor from some higher power, never realizing that the highest power was already speaking from deep within his own consciousness. This revelation challenges everything we've been taught about manifestation. It's not about what you do, it's about who you are being while you do it. The world doesn't respond to your actions nearly as much as it responds to your state of consciousness. Your outer reality is merely a three-dimensional projection of your inner assumptions. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring exactly how assumption differs from mere desire or visualization. Because understanding this distinction is where the true power of manifestation begins to unfold in your life. The moment you grasp this difference is the moment everything changes. If you're beginning to see how your inner state creates your outer reality, write in the comments, "The mirror reflects my state." The distinction between desire and assumption is truly the breakthrough moment. On your manifestation journey, most people spend their entire lives in a state of desire, wanting, wishing, hoping, and then wonder why their manifestations never fully materialize. But desire alone is like a car without fuel. It looks promising, but won't take you anywhere. Here's the hidden truth that will revolutionize your manifestation practice. Transformation doesn't begin when the money arrives in your bank account. It doesn't start when you win the lottery or land that dream job. The profound shift happens internally when you stop seeing yourself as someone waiting for wealth to arrive. The revolutionary mindset change occurs when you no longer perceive yourself as separate from abundance. Think about that for a moment. Most people are unconsciously operating from an identity that says, "I am someone who needs to receive money. I am separate from wealth. I am waiting for abundance to find me." This identity, this self-concept becomes your prison. You're not separate from wealth. You're not a servant hoping for inheritance. You are the inheritance itself, merely pretending to be poor, pretending to be waiting, pretending to still be hoping. The catalyst for genuine transformation is recognizing that you're not someone money must arrive to. You're someone money already belongs with. This revelation completely reconfigures your relationship with abundance. It's not about what you have, it's about who you are. Your bank balance may not reflect this truth yet, but that's only because physical reality always lags behind consciousness. Now let's explore the power of assumption. When you truly assume something is yours, not merely desire it, the entire machinery of the universe begins to reorganize itself around that silent decree. This is the decisive factor that separates those who manifest consistently from those who don't. Assumption carries a certainty that desire can never match. Desire says, "I want this." Assumption says, "This is already mine." Desire focuses on the absence. Assumption embodies the presence. Desire asks with uncertainty. Assumption claims with authority. The energetic impact of these two states couldn't be more different. One perpetuates lack, the other initiates fulfillment. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you're not manipulating reality. You're aligning with a version of reality where your desire already exists. You must walk as one who has already received, and most critically, you must do it now, not after the ticket is drawn, not after the evidence appears, but now, in this present moment, before any outer confirmation has arrived. All of creation responds not to your prayers, not to your affirmations, not even to your visualizations, but to your position, your state of being. The universe doesn't hear what you're saying. It responds to who you're being. Stop asking, stop doubting, stop postponing your miracle by rehearsing your lack. In the silence of your heart, you've already declared yourself either winner or victim, and life is merely echoing back the frequency you never realized you were broadcasting. Let's now explore how to practically shift from desire to assumption, and how to maintain this state even when the physical world shows no immediate evidence of change. This is where most manifestation attempts falter, but it's also where the true masters of the art reveal themselves. If you've been trying to manifest from desire rather than assumption, type in the comments, "I'm shifting to assumption." The practical shift from desire to assumption happens in the silent chambers of your consciousness. It's a revolutionary act that few will understand, yet its impact ripples through every dimension of your reality. You see, the fundamental misunderstanding most people have about manifestation is believing that creation responds to their prayers, their wishes, their desperate pleas for change. But here's the awakening truth. Creation has never once responded to what you ask for. The universe, in its infinite intelligence, responds only to your position, the state of consciousness you occupy. When you pray from a place of lack, you're affirming that lack. When you visualize from a place of separation, you're reinforcing that separation. The decisive factor isn't the content of your prayers, but the consciousness behind them. Are you asking as a beggar, hoping for scraps? Or are you claiming as an heir to abundance who simply calls forth what already belongs to you? Subscribe now to continue this journey of manifestation mastery. I'm sharing the exact techniques Joseph Murphy used, techniques most teachers don't fully understand. Don't miss a single revelation that could change everything for you. This revelation transforms your entire approach to manifestation. Stop asking, stop begging, stop postponing your miracle by rehearsing your lack. You have already declared yourself either winner or victim in the silence of your heart. And life is only echoing back the frequency you never knew you were broadcasting. The catalyst for genuine transformation is recognizing that your words, your actions, even your thoughts are secondary to your state of being. When you truly internalize this principle, the journey of manifestation becomes less about doing and more about being, less about external techniques and more about internal embodiment. The breakthrough comes when you realize that changing your position, your state of consciousness, automatically changes the world around you. Now let's explore the mindset with which you make your choices. Most people choose from states of hope or fear, both equally powerless positions. Hope trembles with uncertainty, fear contracts with doubt. Neither carries the authority needed to command reality. To manifest effectively, you must choose with the certainty of God, in stillness, with complete faith that your desire already exists as accomplished fact. Tonight you will choose. Again, but not with fear, not with superstition, not with a hope that trembles in the dark. You will choose as God chooses, in stillness, with certainty, as if the thing already is. This isn't magic or manipulation, it's the eternal law of assumption, and it's always working whether you believe in it or not. The decisive moment in manifestation happens not when you see the evidence, but when you no longer need the evidence to believe. It's when you stand in such unshakable conviction that no outer circumstance can sway your inner knowing. Behind the scenes of manifestation, this is where the real power lies. Not in your actions, but in the consciousness from which those actions spring. Most spiritual traditions point to this same truth. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. The substance, the actual material of creation, is your faith, your assumption, your unshakable knowing. This is the alchemy that transforms the invisible into the visible, the unmanifest into the manifest. Let's now examine what happens when you truly embody this certainty, and why so many fail at precisely this critical juncture of the manifestation journey. If you're ready to choose with divine certainty rather than human doubt, write in the comments, "I choose with certainty." The critical juncture where most manifestation attempts falter is the moment of confrontation between your inner certainty and the outer world's apparent contradiction. This is where your journey becomes truly revolutionary. To manifest effectively, you must be willing to forget, yes, literally forget, what the world has told you about odds, probabilities, and patterns. The statistical mind, the rational mind, the mind trained by society to believe in external limitations, this mind must be temporarily suspended. Forget what the world told you about chances. Forget what your past told you about patterns. And most importantly, forget the fundamental lie that something must happen outside for something to change inside. The transformation paradigm works in reverse, and it has always worked in reverse. All things proceed from within. When you shift internally, the world must bend externally. When you remember your true power, the illusion of chance dissolves like morning mist in sunlight. This revelation doesn't deny the existence of the physical world with its apparent laws. It simply recognizes that these laws are secondary, not primary. They are effects, not causes. The primary cause of all experience is consciousness itself. When you speak from the authority of your true self, your I am, the universe obeys even in silence, especially in silence. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring the true purpose behind these manifestation principles. This teaching transcends money. It always has. The lottery, wealth, abundance. These are merely entry points into a far more profound revelation about the nature of reality itself. This is about reclaiming your authority over the seen world by mastering the unseen realm of consciousness. This is the hidden truth behind every authentic spiritual tradition. Whether expressed through religious language, scientific inquiry, or philosophical discourse, the core revelation remains. The outer world is governed by the inner. The visible is controlled by the invisible. The material responds to the immaterial. Your circumstances are not random accidents, but perfect reflections of your dominant state of consciousness. When you enter your room tonight, close the door and engage in the sacred practice of assumption. You're not merely trying to manipulate circumstances. You're engaging in the most fundamental creative act possible. You're participating consciously in the ongoing creation of reality itself. You're becoming the thing so completely, so vividly, so unshakably, that the outer world has no choice but to deliver what your inner being already knows is yours. This level of manifestation mastery requires a fundamental identity shift. It demands that you see yourself not as a supplicant begging the universe for favors, but as a creator speaking reality into existence through the silent decree of your assumption. Behind the scenes of every manifestation miracle is this profound truth. You have not been poor because the world withheld from you. You have been poor because you believed in the world more than you believed in yourself. The journey of conscious creation reveals that you have knelt before appearances, made your senses your master, and waited for proof before allowing yourself to feel the thing as done. In doing so, you have rejected the only doorway through which creation flows. Let's now explore the precise mechanism through which inner states become outer realities, and why your feeling state matters more than your thinking state in this divine process. If you're beginning to recognize that you've been kneeling before appearances rather than commanding them, type in the comments, "I am the creator, not the beggar." The precise mechanism through which inner states become outer realities isn't mystical at all. It's mathematical in its precision. The formula for manifestation isn't a secret. It never has been. It's a vibration, a frequency, an energetic signature that you broadcast constantly through your dominant feeling state. And you are the voice that activates this formula, whether consciously or unconsciously. This revelation completely reframes the origin of lack in your life. Poverty, limitation, and struggle don't exist because the world has withheld abundance from you. These conditions persist because you've believed in the external world more than you've believed in your own creative power. You've knelt before appearances, making your physical senses the final authority on what's real and what's possible. The awakening moment in your manifestation journey comes when you recognize that you haven't been poor because the universe is stingy. You haven't been limited because opportunities are scarce. You've experienced these conditions because you've rejected the only doorway through which creation flows, your consciousness itself. The transformative truth about creation is that it never, ever begins on the outside. This principle alone could revolutionize your entire approach to manifestation. Creation never waits for favorable conditions. It never depends on external circumstances aligning perfectly. It answers only to states of consciousness. And your state, if you're honest with yourself, has largely been one of denial. Denial of your creative power, denial of your divine inheritance, denial of your authority to speak reality into existence. You've watched others win the lottery, receive unexpected checks, or experience financial windfalls, and you've asked, why not me? The revealing answer is because you still imagine yourself as one who must ask, rather than one who already receives. You say you believe in manifestation, but your inner speech tells a different story entirely. The dialogue happening beneath your conscious awareness, the assumptions you hold as self-evident truth, these create your reality with unfailing precision. You ask with your lips, but in the silence you rehearse lack. You fantasize about wealth, but fall asleep in fear. You affirm abundance, but don't assume it as your natural state. You hope for change, but don't inhabit the consciousness that would manifest it. This is the fundamental fracture in most manifestation attempts, the gap between what you consciously affirm and what your inner being actually accepts as real. It is from this gap that all delay is born. All disappointment originates here. All seeming failure stems from this misalignment between your conscious desires and your unconscious assumptions. For what you truly assume, not with effort but with ease, not with struggle but with surrender, becomes inevitable. It doesn't need to be earned. It doesn't need to be fought for. It simply becomes you. And the world merely reflects this back as your physical reality. The breakthrough in your journey comes when you recognize that the world has trained you to doubt your own creative center. Society has programmed you to believe that hard work produces wealth, that effort is virtue, and that sudden abundance is suspicious. Let's explore how these societal beliefs have created an unconscious resistance to the very prosperity you consciously desire. If you recognize this gap between your conscious desires and unconscious beliefs, type in the comments, I'm closing the gap. Society's programming runs deeper than most realize. From your earliest days, you've been conditioned to believe certain truths about wealth and abundance, that it must be earned through years of labor, that sudden prosperity is suspicious, that you must prove your worthiness before receiving. Even when your heart leapt at the possibility of instant riches, your subconscious mind recoiled. It can't be that easy, it whispered. I'm not that lucky. And so, the gate slammed shut. Not because it was ever locked, but because you turned the key of assumption in the wrong direction. This reveals the profound gap that exists in most people's manifestation practice, the distance between verbal belief and inner acceptance. Many proudly declare, I believe in manifestation, while their inner speech contradicts this belief entirely. Their conscious mind says, I am prosperous, but their subconscious whispers, who are you kidding? Their lips speak abundance, but their feeling state broadcasts scarcity. Their words affirm possibility, but their emotions cement limitation. This internal conflict creates a spiritual identity crisis that makes manifestation impossible. It's like pressing the accelerator and the brake simultaneously. You create tremendous energy, but go nowhere. The journey of conscious creation requires congruence, alignment, unity between your conscious declarations and your unconscious assumptions. The fracture between thought and feeling is the source of all manifestation delays. When what you consciously believe conflicts with what you subconsciously accept as real, you create a vibrational contradiction that the universe cannot reconcile. The universe doesn't respond to your words or even your thoughts. It responds to your energetic signature, the sum total of your being. This revelation illuminates why affirmations alone often fail to produce results. You can repeat, I am wealthy 1,000 times, but if your feeling state contradicts this affirmation, you're simply creating more internal conflict, not manifestation. The words become hollow, empty vessels carrying no creative power. The catalyst for real transformation is bringing your entire being, conscious and unconscious, thought and feeling, into perfect alignment with your desire. Joseph Murphy understood this principle with remarkable clarity. He taught that what you truly assume, not with effort but with ease, not with struggle but with surrender, becomes inevitable. It doesn't need to be earned. It doesn't need to be fought for. It simply becomes you, and the world merely reflects this back. But the world has trained you to doubt your own creative center. Even when your heart recognizes the truth of these principles, your conditioned mind recoils. The awakening journey requires you to recognize these unconscious patterns of resistance and deliberately choose a new perspective, a new assumption, a new identity. Now I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring what happens when you finally achieve congruence between your conscious mind and subconscious acceptance. This alignment creates a power that most people never experience, a state where manifestation becomes not just possible, but inevitable. The revelation comes when you understand that you haven't lost because the formula doesn't work. You've lost because you haven't truly used it. If you've been experiencing this gap between what you say you believe and what you truly feel, write in the comments. I'm creating congruence now. The truth you haven't been told about manifestation is that it's not meant to be difficult. When your assumption is complete, not forced, not strained, not maintained through willpower, manifestation becomes as natural and inevitable as a seed growing into a flower. This completeness of assumption doesn't feel like effort. It doesn't feel like struggle. It feels like remembering who you've always been. This revelation transforms your entire approach to conscious creation. Most people approach manifestation as a battle, a contest of wills between their desire and an apparently resistant universe. They strain, they affirm, they visualize with furrowed brows and tense muscles, not realizing that this very effort broadcasts doubt. True assumption carries no strain. It requires no maintenance. It simply is. When assumption is complete, you don't need to work on your beliefs. You don't need to constantly monitor your thoughts. You don't need to police your emotions. The thing is simply true for you, beyond question, beyond doubt, just as you don't question whether the sun will rise tomorrow. This is the feeling tone of inevitable manifestation. It's not excitement. It's not anticipation. It's quiet knowing. But here's where the paradigm shift becomes challenging. Society has methodically conditioned you to be suspicious of instant abundance. The collective mindset has programmed you to believe that wealth must be earned through years of labor, that overnight success is somehow unethical or undeserved, that those who receive without obvious effort must be either lucky or deceitful. These beliefs aren't random. They're the foundation of an economic system that requires your continued participation. Think of how you were raised. You were taught that hard work produces wealth, that effort is virtue, and that sudden abundance is suspicious. And so, even when your heart leapt at the thought of instant riches through manifestation, your subconscious recoiled. "It can't be that easy," it whispered. "I'm not lucky. I don't deserve it yet." And so the gate slammed shut, not because it was ever locked, but because you turned the key of assumption the wrong direction. The breakthrough in your journey comes when you recognize this unconscious resistance for what it is. Not truth, but programming. Not reality, but conditioning. Not your authentic self, but the accumulated voices of limitation you've internalized throughout your life. The revelation that changes everything is seeing that your resistance to sudden abundance isn't protecting you from disappointment, it's guaranteeing it. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by examining the precise mechanism through which incomplete assumption creates manifestation failure. You see, you haven't failed to manifest because the formula doesn't work. You've failed because you haven't truly used it. You've dipped your toe into belief and yanked it back when the water felt too still, too welcoming, too easy. You've imagined what you want and then immediately measured it against what you currently have, declaring the gap too wide to bridge. That is not faith. That is a betrayal of the law. When you momentarily entertain the possibility of abundance and then return to rehearsing lack, you're not testing manifestation. You're sabotaging it. The inner landscape of successful manifestation requires consistency, not contradiction. Commitment, not compromise. If you recognize how societal programming has made you suspicious of the very abundance you desire, type in the comments, "I'm releasing the programming." The journey of manifestation reveals a subtle truth that most teachers never address. The root of failure isn't a flawed formula, but inconsistent application. This explains why two people can use exactly the same technique with dramatically different results. One manifests with ease, while the other experiences frustration and delay. The difference isn't in the technique itself, but in the consistency of assumption. Most people approach manifestation like tourists rather than residents. They visit the state of having their desire fulfilled, take a few mental snapshots, feel the momentary thrill, and then return to their familiar home in lack. They dip their toe into belief and yank it back when the water feels too still, too accepting. They imagine what they want and then immediately measure it against what they currently have, declaring the gap too wide to bridge. This inconsistency creates a spiritual whiplash that makes manifestation impossible. The inner landscape becomes chaotic, broadcasting contradictory frequencies that cancel each other out. One moment you're vibrating at the frequency of abundance, the next you're resonating with scarcity. One day you're embodying wealth, consciousness. The next you're rehearsing familiar narratives of struggle. This oscillation between belief and disbelief doesn't create, it confuses. The breakthrough revelation is that until you break your unconscious covenant with lack, until you sever the pact your inner being has made with limitation, you'll continue to circle the same desert of hope and disappointment. Not because the law failed you, but because you have not yet fully inhabited the state that fulfills the law. This unconscious covenant wasn't created in a day. It's the accumulated result of thousands of moments when you accepted limitation as your natural state, when you nodded in agreement with the voice of not enough, when you made peace with delay as inevitable. Every time you said, "I can't afford it," instead of, "I'm choosing not to purchase this now." Every time you thought, "That's for lucky people, not me." Every time you settled for less while longing for more, you were reinforcing this covenant. With lack, The transformative journey requires you to recognize this agreement and consciously, deliberately break it. This isn't about denying your current circumstances. It's about refusing to let those circumstances define your identity and determine your future. It's about recognizing that your past experiences of limitation were the effect of your previous assumptions, not the cause of your future ones. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring the authentic state of someone who has truly broken this covenant. What is the state of a winner? What is the feeling tone of someone who has severed their pact with limitation? Understanding this gives you a precise target for your own transformation. Because without a clear understanding of the state you're aiming to embody, your manifestation attempts will continue to be inconsistent and therefore ineffective. The true state of someone who has received isn't euphoria or shock. It isn't trembling excitement or desperate relief. It's quiet knowing. It's the sacred breath that exhales. Of course it was me. The real winner doesn't scream. They remember. They don't beg. They receive. The frequency of wealth is stillness in motion, containment without contraction. And this state feels completely different from what most people imagine. If you're ready to break your unconscious agreement with limitation once and for all, type in the comments, "The covenant is broken." The authentic state of someone who has truly received differs dramatically from what most imagine. Our culture portrays winning as a moment of ecstatic celebration, jumping, screaming, tears of disbelief. But this portrayal itself reveals the underlying assumption that abundance is shocking, that wealth is surprising, that your good fortune is somehow unexpected. The true winner exists in a state of quiet knowing, not the frantic energy of shock, but the settled peace of remembrance. When you watch someone who has claimed a major lottery prize or manifested significant wealth, observe carefully. Beneath the social performance of excitement lies something more revealing, a subtle nod, a knowing smile, the sacred breath that exhales. Of course it was me. The real winner doesn't scream. They remember. They don't beg. They receive. The frequency of wealth is stillness in motion, containment without contraction, the perfect balance between gratitude and expectation. This revelation transforms your entire approach to manifestation. Most people try to force themselves into states of artificial excitement, visualizing their desire with strained intensity. But the breakthrough comes when you realize that the vibration of having already received is qualitatively different. It's not anticipation, it's acceptance, it's not hope, it's knowing. The journey of embodying this state doesn't require more effort, it requires less resistance. Now let's examine why so many manifestation attempts falter despite sincere intention. If you're still oscillating between belief and disbelief, if your assumption is still leaking out through fear, then the womb cannot conceive. Your manifestation cannot take form. This isn't a punishment, it's precision. The law doesn't mock or tease, it doesn't judge or withhold, it waits and mirrors and serves. The moment you inhabit the state fully and without contradiction, the outer must bend. This principle operates with mathematical precision. Quantum physics has demonstrated that particles exist in superposition, multiple states simultaneously, until observation collapses the wave function into a single reality. Your consciousness operates similarly. When you vibrate between belief and doubt, acceptance and rejection, worthiness and unworthiness, you create a spiritual superposition that cannot collapse into physical manifestation. The universe cannot deliver a clear reflection of an unclear signal. For manifestation to occur, your signal must be coherent, consistent, unwavering. This doesn't mean you never experience doubts. It means you don't identify with them. When doubts arise, you observe them without becoming them. You recognize them as echoes of old programming, not truth. You hold your state despite them, not in the absence of them. This is the mastery that separates consistent manifestors from occasional ones. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring the fundamental choice that lies at the heart of all manifestation. Tonight, you must make a choice, not whether to try, but whether to finally be. The one who wins is the one who no longer tries, the one who assumes, the one who closes the door, steps into the invisible, and says without sound, "It is already mine," and then lives as though the world could never convince them otherwise. This decision point represents the watershed moment in your manifestation journey. Will you continue to live from the outside in, letting circumstances dictate your state? Or will you begin living from the inside out, letting your state create your circumstances? This pivot in consciousness changes everything. If you recognize how your oscillation between belief and doubt has been preventing your manifestations, type in the comments, "I choose unwavering belief." This pivotal choice, to be rather than to try, represents the quantum leap in consciousness that transforms your entire manifestation practice. The revelation that changes everything is understanding that success never comes to those who are trying to win. It comes to those who have transcended trying altogether. The one who still tries is broadcasting their separation from the thing they desire. Their very effort announces, "I do not have this yet." The breakthrough in your journey comes when you close the door to doubt completely, not by fighting doubt, not by arguing with it, not by using willpower to suppress it, but by remembering who you truly are. When you step into the invisible realm of pure consciousness and declare without sound, "It is already mine," you initiate a cosmic sequence that must culminate in physical manifestation. The universe has no choice but to conform to your dominant state. But this requires a fundamental identity shift that most aren't willing to make. It demands that you live as though your desire is already fulfilled, not as a technique, not as a visualization exercise, but as your new normal. Behind the scenes of every manifestation miracle is this profound truth. You must be willing to look completely delusional to your rational mind and to those around you who still live from the outside in. The path to mastery reveals that alignment matters infinitely more than evidence. This single principle could revolutionize your entire approach to manifestation. You don't need more evidence. You don't need signs or synchronicities or angel numbers. You need more inner agreement. You don't need permission from external reality. You need alignment between your conscious desires and your unconscious assumptions. This alignment doesn't happen through force. It doesn't happen through repetition alone. It happens through surrender, through remembrance, through the quiet recognition that you are not here to be worthy of your desires. You are here to be willing to let the outer world follow the inner vibration without needing to ask how or when. Most spiritual seekers spend years looking for validation, waiting for external confirmation that their internal work is working. But this very seeking reinforces the frequency of separation. The harvest comes to the one who lives as if the seed has already taken root. The mystery of manifestation is that what you're seeking is seeking you with equal intensity. But it can only find you when you stop looking for it. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring how this understanding applies directly to winning the lottery or manifesting any form of sudden wealth. Tonight, if you will, dare to assume, dare to feel, dare to let go of the one who always waits. You will see that life is not random, that winning is not rare, and that your fortune has been waiting for your permission to arrive. The world tells you there are rules, fixed odds, external powers. It teaches you that your only hope is to try harder, work smarter, or wait longer. But none of that creates. Nothing outside of you has ever held the key. The only law that governs the unfolding of your life is this. Assumption hardens into fact. What you believe yourself to be is what this world must express. You think the lottery is a drawing of numbers. I say the lottery is a mirror of states. If you're ready to stop waiting for evidence and start living from complete inner alignment, write in the comments, "I am the evidence." This transformative principle reveals a truth that farmers have always known. The harvest comes only to those who live as if the seed is already rooted. When a farmer plants corn, he doesn't dig up the soil every day to check if the seed has sprouted. He doesn't stand over the field begging the corn to emerge. He plants with certainty, waters with faith, and sleeps in complete trust of the unseen process happening beneath the surface. He lives as if the harvest is inevitable, not because he's deluding himself, but because he understands the law. Your consciousness operates by this same principle. The seeds you plant, your dominant assumptions about yourself and life, inevitably produce after their kind. But unlike the farmer who must wait for seasons to change, the harvest of consciousness can manifest instantly when your assumption is complete. The decisive factor is whether you can live as if your desire has already taken root in the invisible realm of causes, even before any evidence appears in the visible world of effects. This understanding directly contradicts what the world has taught you about achievement and success. Society has conditioned you to believe in external rules, fixed probabilities, and objective limitations. It teaches that your only hope is to try harder, work smarter, or wait longer. It points to education, connections, timing, and luck as the primary factors determining your outcomes. But these are all secondary causes at best, effects masquerading as causes. The hidden truth behind every authentic spiritual tradition is that nothing outside of you has ever held the key to your manifestation. No external factor has ever determined your experience. The governing principle of reality isn't chance or circumstance, it's consciousness itself. Your state of being creates your state of having. Your dominant frequency attracts its corresponding reality. This revelation initiates a profound paradigm shift in how you approach not just manifestation, but life itself. You begin to recognize that you aren't working against an indifferent or hostile universe. You're working with an infinitely responsive mirror that can reflect only what you project. The journey of conscious creation becomes less about forcing change and more about allowing it. Less about seeking and more about recognizing what has always been yours. Behind the scenes of this process is a universal intelligence that arranges all circumstances, synchronicities, and encounters in perfect alignment with your dominant state. This intelligence doesn't judge or evaluate your desires. It simply manifests whatever you assume to be true. It doesn't care whether you win or lose the lottery. It cares only about reflecting your consciousness with impeccable fidelity. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring how this principle applies to the specific vibration of wealth. Most people approach manifestation from a mindset of separation. I am here, wealth is there, and I must somehow bridge this gap. But this very perspective guarantees continued separation. The breakthrough comes when you recognize that you are not separate from wealth. You are not a servant hoping for inheritance. You are the inheritance itself, pretending to be poor. This fundamental identity shift transforms your entire manifestation practice. You no longer view wealth as something external to be attracted or achieved. You recognize it as an expression of your own consciousness to be remembered and embodied. The revelation that changes everything is seeing that all creation happens from the inside out, never from the outside in. If you're beginning to recognize that you're not separate from the wealth you seek, write in the comments, "I am the wealth I seek." The hidden truth governing the entire universe is remarkably simple, yet profoundly transformative. Assumption hardens into fact. This single principle underlies every spiritual tradition, every manifestation teaching, and every authentic revelation about the nature of reality. What you deeply believe yourself to be, not what you say, not what you affirm, not what you hope, but what you assume as self-evident truth is what this world must express back to you. This law operates with such perfect precision that most mistake its effects for random chance or luck. But there is no luck. There is only law. And the law responds not to your words, not to your actions, not even to your conscious thoughts, but to the nature of your being. The fundamental revelation in your manifestation journey comes when you recognize that your outer world is simply a three-dimensional projection of your inner. Assumptions. Your life experience isn't happening to you, it's happening from you. Every encounter, every circumstance, every apparent coincidence is being projected from the depths of your consciousness like a movie onto a screen. The screen doesn't create the images, it merely displays what's being projected. Similarly, the world doesn't create your experience, it merely reflects your dominant state of being. When viewed through this lens, the lottery takes on an entirely different meaning. Most see it as a game of chance, where random numbers determine winners and losers, but this perspective misses the deeper revelation. The lottery ticket in your hand isn't a tool for winning. It's a test revealing whether you vibrate at the frequency of wealth or still carry the vibration of want. Every time you check your numbers, every moment of anticipation, every thought about what you'll do with the winnings, these experiences aren't creating your outcome. They're revealing your current state. The numbers don't determine whether you win. Your state determines which numbers appear. What you call coincidence, I call obedience. The world obeys your assumption so perfectly, so relentlessly, that it will disguise it as chance so you never suspect your own power. The one who wins the lottery isn't the one who guesses correctly. It's the one who already feels themselves in possession before the number is even drawn. The numbers arrange themselves to reflect the state already accepted. This isn't metaphor or poetry. It's the precise mechanism through which reality operates. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring the principle of reversibility, the most profound aspect of manifestation that Joseph Murphy discovered. This revelation completely inverts the conventional understanding of cause and effect. Most believe that external circumstances create internal states, that winning creates the feeling of wealth. But the truth is exactly opposite. The feeling of wealth creates the winning. This reversal of cause and effect is the master key that unlocks the entire manifestation process. It explains why some can visualize for years with no results, while others manifest with seemingly minimal effort. The difference isn't in the technique, but in the understanding of causation itself. If you're beginning to see how your assumptions create your reality rather than reflect it, write in the comments, "My assumptions create my world." The secret formula that Joseph Murphy discovered, the one that most manifestation teachers either don't understand or intentionally obscure, is the law of reversibility. This profound principle completely inverts the conventional understanding of causation. The formula states that which you would feel after the win, you must feel before. And in doing so, you cause the effect rather than waiting for it. This reversal of causation is the master key that unlocks the entire manifestation process. Every outer manifestation is simply the echo of an inner arrangement. The physical world is merely the shadow of consciousness taking form. Most people live their entire lives backwards. They believe that when they win the lottery, then they'll feel wealthy. When they meet their soulmate, then they'll feel loved. When they achieve their goals, then they'll feel successful. But this perspective keeps manifestation forever out of reach. The cosmic law operates in reverse. You must feel wealthy, and then the lottery will appear. To justify the inner state, you must feel loved, and then the relationship will manifest to match that frequency. You must embody success, and then achievements will arise as natural reflections of your consciousness. The revelation that transforms everything is recognizing that the outer must match the inner. That is law. There is no alternative. But it must be a true assumption, not a hopeful rehearsal. It must be lived, not whispered, felt, not repeated. It must be taken into the secret place of the Most High, into the deep silence of your inner sanctuary, and claimed as already done. This principle explains why those who win the lottery aren't the ones who guessed correctly or used some magical number selection system. They are the ones who already feel themselves in possession before the number is even drawn. The numbers arrange themselves to reflect the state already accepted. What appears as coincidence is actually perfect obedience to the law of consciousness. Behind the scenes of every lucky winner is this hidden truth. They were vibrating at the frequency of having already received before any physical evidence appeared. This doesn't mean they consciously understood the process. Many operate this law unconsciously. But their inner conviction, their feeling of inevitability, their assumption of abundance, created the perfect conditions for manifestation. When you examine interviews with lottery winners, look beyond their words to their energy. Many will reveal that they just knew they would win. Others had dreams or premonitions. Some bought tickets with complete certainty rather than desperate hope. Their journey wasn't one of chance. It was one of alignment with a possibility already established in consciousness. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring what it means to truly embody the state of the wish fulfilled. Most visualization practices focus on mentally picturing the desired outcome, but this approach misses the essential component, feeling. You don't win the lottery and then feel wealthy. You feel wealthy, and then the lottery must appear to justify the inner state. But this feeling isn't an emotion you can fake or force. It's an identity you step into, a state you embody completely. This embodiment transcends mere positive thinking or affirmations. It requires a fundamental shift in how you perceive yourself in relation to abundance. When you truly assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you're not manipulating reality. You're aligning with a version of reality where your desire already exists. If you're beginning to understand how causation operates in reverse, that feeling creates manifestation rather than manifestation creating feeling. Write in the comments, I feel it first. The revelation that transforms your entire understanding of manifestation comes when you recognize the true purpose behind Joseph Murphy's teachings. He didn't come to show you how to control the world. He came to reveal that you already do. This profound truth has been hidden in plain sight throughout human history, whispered in mystical traditions and encoded in religious texts, yet obscured by layers of misinterpretation and dogma. You don't need to learn how to manifest. You don't need to acquire some special power or secret knowledge. You're already manifesting every moment of every day through your consciousness. Your current circumstances, relationships, financial situation, everything in your experience is already a perfect reflection of your dominant assumptions. The challenge isn't learning to create. It's becoming conscious of how you've been creating all along. This understanding initiates a paradigm shift in how you approach manifestation. You're not working against an indifferent universe that needs to be convinced or manipulated. You're working with an infinitely responsive mirror that can only reflect what you project. The journey becomes less about forcing change and more about allowing it, less about seeking and more about recognizing what has always been yours. At the center of this creative process is a power so fundamental, so primal, that most overlook it entirely. The awareness that declares, I am. Not your name, not your history, not your job title or bank balance, but the silent awareness that knows itself as existing. This, I am, is the absolute center of all creation. Whatever you attach to it becomes your experience. The breakthrough in consciousness comes when you recognize that I am is not merely a statement, it's the very foundation of reality itself. When you declare I am poor, you activate the creative principle in that direction. When you assume I am wealthy, you initiate an entirely different manifestation sequence. Your I am statements, whether conscious or unconscious, spoken or felt, become the law of your experience. This revelation illuminates why affirmations often fail to produce results. Simply repeating, I am wealthy, while feeling poor creates internal conflict, not manifestation. The creative power isn't in the words, but in the state of consciousness they represent. When your entire being resonates with I am wealthy, not as an affirmation but as a self-evident truth, the outer world must reorganize itself to reflect this inner reality. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring how to practically apply this understanding to winning the lottery or manifesting any form of sudden abundance. The key lies not in selecting the right numbers, not in buying more tickets, not in using some magical ritual or system, but in assuming the consciousness of the one who has already won before any external evidence appears. When you operate from the awareness that declares, I am the one who has already received, you shift from the frequency of seeking to the frequency of having. You're no longer trying to get something you don't possess. You're simply experiencing what already belongs to you. This subtle but profound shift in consciousness changes everything about your manifestation practice. If you're beginning to recognize the creative power of your I am declarations, write in the comments, I am the power. The practical application of this principle creates a complete inversion of conventional manifestation teaching. You don't win the lottery and then feel wealthy. You feel wealthy, and then the lottery must appear to justify the inner state. This is the sacred reversal that transforms everything. The outer must match the inner. That is law. There is no alternative. Most people approach manifestation backwards. They're waiting for external circumstances to change before they'll allow themselves to embody the feeling of their desire fulfilled. They tell themselves, when I win the lottery, then I'll feel abundant. When I meet my soulmate, then I'll feel loved. But this perspective keeps them perpetually waiting, perpetually seeking, perpetually separate from their good. The breakthrough revelation is that manifestation operates in reverse. You must first embody the feeling state of having already received, and from that state, the outer world reorganizes itself to match your inner reality. This isn't a technique or a trick, it's the fundamental mechanism through which all reality operates. The inner creates the outer, never the reverse. But this feeling isn't something you can fake or force. It must arise from a genuine shift in identity. You must walk as the one who has already received. You must sleep in it, speak from it, breathe it, not as fantasy, but as fact. For what you feel in imagination is more real than what you touch in flesh. This illuminates another profound truth that transforms your entire approach to manifestation. Imagination isn't pretending. It isn't wishful thinking or fantasy. Imagination is the womb of all creation. It's the generative matrix from which all physical reality emerges. When you truly understand this principle, you recognize that your imaginative acts aren't preliminary to creation. They are creation in its most potent form. The revolution in consciousness comes when you stop dismissing your imagination as just in your head and recognize it as the primary creative force in the universe. What you imagine with feeling, not as a technique but as a lived experience, becomes the blueprint that physical reality must follow. The journey from imagination to manifestation isn't a process of creating something new. It's a process of revealing what already exists in the realm of consciousness. This revelation transforms how you engage with your manifestation practice. You no longer visualize your desires as distant possibilities to be attained. You experience them as present realities to be expressed. The decisive factor isn't what you want, but what you accept. You don't manifest your desires, you manifest your assumptions. You don't create what you long for, you create what you embody. Behind the scenes of every manifestation miracle is this hidden truth. You manifest what you accept, not what you want. Most people spend their entire lives wanting, wishing, hoping, and then wonder why these desires never materialize. But wanting something actually reinforces its absence. Accepting something as already yours initiates its expression in physical form. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring the precise feeling tone of true acceptance. This isn't a matter of intellectual understanding, but of embodied knowing. The wish fulfilled is not an outcome to be achieved, but a dwelling place to be inhabited. And when you live there, truly live there in the full awareness of your being, the world cannot resist you. If you're beginning to understand that imagination is not pretending but the very womb of creation, write in the comments, imagination creates reality. The feeling state of embodied knowing reveals the precise code through which reality operates. The unseen becomes seen through feeling. This isn't a metaphor or a poetic expression. It's the exact mechanism through which the invisible realm of consciousness manifests into visible, tangible experience. When you grasp this principle fully, you recognize that manifestation isn't a process of creating something new, but of making visible what already exists in consciousness. Most people approach manifestation as if they're trying to acquire something external that they currently lack. But this perspective keeps the thing perpetually out of reach. The breakthrough comes when you recognize that the wish fulfilled is not an outcome to be achieved or a prize to be won. It's a dwelling place to be inhabited. It's a state of consciousness to be embodied completely. When you truly live in this state, not as a technique or a visualization exercise, but as your natural way of being, the world cannot resist your manifestation, but it will delay for as long as you delay. It will resist for as long as you doubt. For the world is not your enemy, working against your desires. It's your divine servant, your perfect mirror, answering only to the command of your inner being. This revelation completely transforms how you view circumstances that appear to contradict your desires. When you see something in your experience that you don't want, the untrained mind immediately reacts with frustration, thinking, "Why is this happening to me?" But the awakened mind responds with awareness. This is happening through me. It's reflecting a state I've been occupying, perhaps unconsciously. The external world is not opposing you. It's reflecting your inner state with perfect fidelity. The reflection might be of conscious assumptions or unconscious ones, but it's always an exact mirror of some aspect of your consciousness. This understanding removes blame and victimhood from your manifestation practice. There's no one to fight against, no external power to overcome, no random chance to defeat. There's only your consciousness to transform. Behind the scenes of every manifestation journey is this profound truth. You are not here to react to life. You are here to create it from the inside out. You are not here to respond to circumstances. You are here to generate them through your assumed state. The journey of mastery begins when you stop viewing the world as a series of random events happening to you and start recognizing it as a precise reflection of what's happening within you. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring the ultimate declaration of manifestation authority, the recognition that I am the cause of all. This isn't a statement of ego or arrogance. It's the humble acknowledgement of your true creative nature. When you declare, "I am the cause of all my experience," you're not claiming superiority. You're accepting responsibility for the one aspect of reality you can truly transform, your own consciousness. This declaration represents the watershed moment in your manifestation journey. It's when you stop waiting for luck, stop hoping for signs, stop begging for change, and instead recognize that you speak the word and it becomes flesh. You turn within and the world bends without. There is no power above you, for you and the creative principle are one. If you're ready to see the world not as an opposing force, but as a perfect mirror of your consciousness, write in the comments, "The mirror never lies." This transformative declaration, "I am the cause of all," represents the ultimate awakening in your manifestation journey. It's the moment you stop outsourcing your creative power to external forces, random chance, or divine intervention separate from yourself. This isn't a statement of ego or arrogance. It's the humble recognition of your true position in the creative process of life. When you declare, "I am the cause of all my experience," you're accepting complete responsibility for the one thing you can truly transform, your own. In consciousness, you're recognizing that you no longer need to wait for luck. You don't need to hope for signs. You don't need permission from circumstances. You speak the word within your consciousness, and it becomes flesh in your experience. This revelation illuminates the profound simplicity at the heart of manifestation. You turn within, and the world bends without. There is no power above you that must be pleased or placated, for you and the creative principle are one. The Father is your unconditioned awareness. The Son is your present assumption, and these two are always creating in perfect unity. So if you ask for the secret formula that Joseph Murphy discovered, I say this: assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Remain there. Do not waver. Do not explain. Do not seek confirmation. Walk as if it were already true, and the world will prove it to you. This isn't a technique to be applied occasionally. It's a lifestyle to be lived continuously. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and remain steadfast in that assumption, you initiate a cosmic sequence that must culminate in physical manifestation. But the breakthrough comes when you realize that remaining steadfast doesn't require effort or strain. It's not about forcing yourself to believe, it's about recognizing what is already true in the realm of consciousness. Behind the scenes of every manifestation journey is this hidden truth. You are not here to react to life. You are here to remember. And what you remember within becomes what you meet without. The moment you no longer need to win the lottery, you will. The moment you stop asking how your financial abundance will arrive, the path will reveal itself. The moment you stop rehearsing lack and begin resting in fullness, the numbers will appear not as gifts but as echoes, not as miracles but as inevitabilities. For what you assume with feeling, in stillness, in silence, in faith, that is the thing the world must reflect. It cannot do otherwise. Walking as if your desire is already reality isn't pretending or deceiving yourself. It's aligning with what is already true in consciousness before it appears in form. This principle operates with mathematical precision. When you embody the state of having already received, the universe must reorganize itself to reflect this state back to you, not because it's rewarding your belief, but because it cannot show you anything other than what you are being. The outer must match the inner, that is law. There is no alternative. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring the actual practice of assuming the state of the wish fulfilled. How do you practically embody this state? How do you maintain it when the physical world shows no evidence of change? The journey of mastery isn't just about understanding these principles intellectually, it's about living them experientially. If you recognize that you are truly the cause of all your experience, write in the team comments, "I speak and it becomes." The greatest paradox of manifestation, the revelation that confounds the logical mind yet proves itself repeatedly through experience, is that the moment you no longer need to win is precisely when your winning becomes inevitable. This seeming contradiction illuminates a profound truth about the nature of desire and fulfillment. When you're desperately trying to win the lottery, you're broadcasting the frequency of absence and need. Your very striving announces to the universe, I lack this thing. But when you shift to a consciousness of fullness, when you genuinely feel complete and whole without the external validation of winning, something miraculous happens. The universe stops experiencing resistance from you and begins flowing towards you. It's not that the universe rewards your detachment, it's that your detachment reveals you've truly embodied the state of the wish fulfilled. You've crossed the threshold from wanting to having in consciousness, and the outer world must follow. This paradox explains why so many spiritual traditions emphasize surrender as the path to fulfillment. It's not about giving up your desires, it's about transcending the consciousness of seeking. The moment you stop asking how your manifestation will arrive, the path reveals itself. The moment you stop rehearsing the emotions of lack and begin resting in the quiet knowing of fulfillment, the numbers align not as miracle, but as mathematical certainty. The breakthrough in your journey comes when you recognize that true detachment isn't about not caring whether you receive. It's about being so certain of receiving that you no longer experience anxiety or doubt about the process. Just as you don't worry about whether the sun will rise tomorrow, you don't question whether your manifestation will appear. This quiet certainty, this peaceful knowing, this restful awareness, this is the vibration that aligns you with inevitable manifestation. But where does this transformation actually begin? Not in front of the television as you check your lottery numbers, not at the store as you purchase your ticket, not even in the visualization sessions where you picture yourself winning. The sacred process begins in the inner chamber of self, the quiet sanctuary of your consciousness where no one else can enter. That is where the unseen becomes flesh. That is where words become worlds. This inner chamber is the true temple of manifestation. It's the sacred space where you commune directly with the creative principle of the universe. When you close the door behind you, both literally and figuratively, and enter this inner sanctuary, you gain access to the very source code of reality itself. This isn't a metaphor or poetic expression, it's the precise mechanism through which consciousness creates experience. The journey of mastery requires you to recognize the primacy of this inner work. Most people spend 99% of their manifestation energy on outer actions and just 1% on inner alignment. But the masters reverse this ratio, understanding that the inner shift is what creates the outer result. They know that the winning lottery numbers aren't determined at the drawing. They're determined in the consciousness of the one who embodies the state of having already won. Let me show you exactly how to enter this inner chamber and perform the sacred work of assumption that guarantees your manifestation. The practice is deceptively simple, yet profoundly transformative when approached with complete commitment. If you understand that true manifestation begins in the inner chamber of consciousness rather than in external actions, write in the comments, "The inner creates the outer." The practical application of entering the inner chamber begins with stepping into a sacred silence. This isn't the strained silence of meditation where you're fighting against thoughts. It's not the disciplined silence of concentration where you're forcing yourself to focus. It's a natural, receptive silence that occurs when you truly forget the world and remember yourself. This sacred silence feels like coming home after a long journey. It's the peaceful recognition that beneath all your seeking, beneath all your striving, beneath all your becoming, you already are. It's allowing the mental chatter to fall away, not through force, but through surrender. When you close the door, both of your physical room and of your mind, you create a sanctuary where no doubt can enter, no fear can speak, and no voice can be louder than the one you choose to believe. That voice isn't shouting. It isn't dramatic or insistent. It's quiet but eternal. And it says only one thing: I am. From this stillness, this sacred center point of pure awareness, the entire universe can be reshaped. This is where the true power of manifestation originates, not in the noise of affirmations or the struggle of visualization, but in the profound silence of being. Now, from this sacred silence, the breakthrough revelation that transforms your entire practice. Don't picture the win, embody it. This single distinction separates those who manifest consistently from those who remain perpetually seeking. Most visualization practices position you as an observer, watching a mental movie of yourself winning the lottery, receiving the check, celebrating with loved ones. But this creates separation rather than embodiment. True embodiment means experiencing the scene from inside yourself, not watching it from outside. You're not seeing yourself with the winning ticket. You are yourself with the winning ticket. You feel the weight of it in your hand, the texture of the paper between your fingers. You don't imagine the emotions you might feel. You feel them directly, immediately, completely. You don't picture the win as a future event. You remember it as an accomplished fact. Choose one scene, just one, that naturally implies your wish is fulfilled. Let it be short. Let it be clear. And above all, let it be felt with your entire being. Perhaps it's the weight of the ticket in your hand, numbers drawn and matched. Perhaps it's the voice of your closest friend screaming with disbelief at your good fortune. Perhaps it's the notification on your phone showing your bank balance now impossibly full. The specific scene doesn't matter. What matters is that you feel its reality tonight. You must see with the inner eyes, feel with the inner heart that creates rather than reacts. Let the scene loop in your imagination. Let the vibration of "it is done" overtake all other thoughts. Breathe from this state. Relax into this reality. The transformation occurs the moment your imaginal scene becomes realer than the outer world. When you've entered the state so completely that opening your eyes feels like returning to a less substantial reality. Stay there. This is the key so many miss. They visit the state of the wish fulfilled. They do not live in it. But you must dwell there. Become so saturated in the feeling that when you open your eyes, the outer world feels like a memory, and the inner scene feels like the only truth. If you've experienced moments where your imagination felt more real than your physical surroundings, write in the comments, "I've touched the real." That's why I say to you now, as we conclude this journey together, will you use this formula tonight? Not in theory, not with partial belief, but with the totality of your inner focus. Will you take this holy formula into the chamber of self and close the door behind you? Because that's where true transformation begins. That's where the unseen becomes flesh. Not when you're checking lottery numbers, not when you're thinking about what you'll do with the money, but in those quiet moments when you choose who you truly are. You know, the most beautiful thing I've noticed is watching people's lives transform when they finally grasp these principles. If these ideas have resonated with your soul today, if something deep within you recognized a truth you've always known, but perhaps forgotten, I'd love to continue this conversation with you. Subscribe to join our community of conscious creators who are applying these principles daily and witnessing the miraculous unfold as their natural state. If this message found you at exactly the right moment, as these teachings always do, write "The Law Found Me" in the comments. I read every comment personally, and there's something powerful about declaring your alignment publicly. Your engagement with this video, yes, even something as simple as a like, helps these timeless principles reach others who are ready for this awakening. Not everyone is prepared to hear this message, but for those who are, it arrives precisely when needed. There's a video right here that explores how to maintain this state of assumption even when the outer world shows no evidence of change. Perhaps the most crucial skill in your manifestation journey. Click and continue with me there as we deepen this practice together. Remember, you're not here to react to life, you're here to create it.